Good evening, everybody. Happy Tuesday night. Welcome to another DE Band of Brothers call sponsored by DE or a Tuesday night principal call sponsored by DE Band of Brothers and Band of Brothers everywhere. All right. So happy Tuesday. Hope everybody's doing great, enjoying the spring. Um, Speaking of spring, we are just a little over a month away from DE. That is April 18th through the 21st. Hotel cutoff date is getting really, really close. A couple of weeks, but the rooms are going to go quickly. So if you have not gotten your room, go ahead and get it. Don't delay. Do it as soon as this call is over with. And make sure that you have a place to stay for DE. We're going to have a lot of fun that trip. We're going to have a big Saturday night party, glamorous LA party. So make sure you bring your finest and bring all your sass too. So we can have a lot of good fun and fellowship there on Saturday night. All right, let's not waste any time because I think this is going to be an incredible call, you guys. We have the absolute pleasure of being able to hear our tonight's speaker, 48 years in practice. He's 71 years old, from Marion, Iowa, Palmer grad. And before we got on the call, he was telling me some wonderful Clarence Gonstead stories, may or may not include Elvis. You just never know how far reaching anything you say or do can go. So I am really excited to hear from Dr. Joe Geelan from Marion, Iowa. Take it away, Joe.
Thank you. I hope you can see that behind me I have my friend John Wayne, because I want you to understand the seriousness of our business, and Mr. Wayne has always been serious. So I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to speak. I've been a chiropractor for a long time. I've always practiced in Iowa. I practiced in Marion, Iowa, been there forever. And I graduated from Palmer. I used to hang out at the Gonstead Clinic. I knew Clarence Gonstead, but it wasn't until I went to DE in the late 70s that a fire was lit. And that's why I'm talking tonight, because the fire never goes out in chiropractic. And you don't realize that until you realize it. And that's the seriousness of it. Tonight, I want to go back for myself in a story in time, and I want to tell you something that happened and how serious it was. I'm at Palmer College of Chiropractic. I'm a 19-year-old kid. Everybody in my family went to a chiropractor. Everybody, on both sides. And so when I decided to go to chiropractic college, I've already been to college, but now I'm deciding to go to Palmer. My first day at Palmer Chiropractic College it's new. I'm in this room called the Old Theater Room, and there was 404 people in the room. And you're sitting there waiting for day one, the first moment, the first hour of your experience in chiropractic college. This guy comes out on the stage. His name was Dr. Geelan Price. He was the head of philosophy at Palmer College of Chiropractic. The guy that did the talking before him was B.J. Palmer. Who do you think told Geelan Price what to say? B.J. Palmer. What do you say to 404 people that are engulfing on this profession? These are the words that were said verbatim. My name is Dr. Geelan Price. I am the head of philosophy at Palmer College of Chiropractic. I welcome you to Palmer College of Chiropractic. We are glad you're here. Everything from this point on, you already know. You just haven't thought about it. We are now going to start to think about it. That says it. Innate intelligence. I've been thinking about it ever since. So have you. Does that not set the tone for this business? It does. Does that not make it different? It does. That does not make it our responsibility? It's ours. Everything, everybody, you, me, we all develop from being in and around chiropractic and chiropractors. Isn't that wonderful? It is. It's our business. It's always been our business. And it's not to be taken lightly. You know, I practice about 50 miles from Waterloo, Iowa. And there's a young guy that came in my office, about a month ago. He's an engineer at John Deere. And I asked him one day, what do you do in John Deere? He said, I'm in product engineering in a building in Cedar Falls, Iowa. I said, what does that mean? He says it means some things. Then he goes, no, it means everything we do in John Deere comes out of that building. Amazing, isn't it? Years ago, I heard about a place in Flint, Michigan. It was General Motors Institute of Science and Technology. Everything General Motors does comes out of that building. Think about it. Everything we do comes out of 1000 Brady Street, Davenport, Iowa. Innate. It's not a building. It's not a zip code. It's not an address. It's bigger than all that. That's why we do so well, if we obey. Chiropractic showed itself to us September 18th, 1895 in Davenport, Iowa, 87 miles from here. It had showed itself many times to the Egyptians, to the Romans. When it popped its little head up in 1895 in Davenport, Iowa, this guy paid attention. This guy paid attention to what had happened. And because of that, we are here. And we are having this talk tonight. It's amazing. It's wonderful. Now, I want to say this because there's some young men and women around the country that don't know this because they just plain don't know it. But I'm going to share this with you. Here's a book called The Glory of Going On. It's a green book. You need to have that book. You need to read that book. Here's another book that I have. These are just a few. Life Without Fear, Fred Barge. You need to get that book and read it about 10 times. Here's another book coming right out of Davenport, Iowa. Palmer's Law of Life. Get that book. And here's another very small book. I got the big ones too. Evolution or Revolution. These are books that you need to have to keep you on track. In 1958, B.J. Palmer was interviewed. And he sat down to the interview, and this is on page 34 of The Glory of Going On. He was interviewed by the newspaper. And one of the questions they asked him, and I'm going to read it exactly as it is written in this book. Dr. Palmer, how do you measure your success? Results, he quickly replied. Results. Upon results, all turns. Who does not understand that? Boeing, Ford, Kellogg's, everything. Upon results, all turns. And then went on to say, And I thought this was most interesting about chiropractic results. We are fighting superstition with enlightenment. The physicians on one side, chiropractors on the other. Are we not the enlightened ones? That's what you get at DE. You need to act enlightened because you are. You may be the only one in your community that understands that enlightenment. It's real, it's innate. So I always like this phrase, and you hear this because it's like a feel-good statement, but I don't know if it's a feel-good statement or not. It's this one, and you only hear it in chiropractic. You didn't choose chiropractic, chiropractic chose you. Is that supposed to make you feel good? It does. It does. I'm telling you the reason it does, because some men and women need to be self-employed, and they can handle it. They can handle it. My wife and I have known a lot of people here in town that are employed by big businesses, big corporations, and there's an unknown in that. And I could never handle the unknown in that, but I can sure handle self-employment with chiropractic. And you just got to realize that goes with it. And you can never let your guard down because you're self-employed and you're in chiropractic and you have a mission and you have a message and it is lasting. So I think that's important that we realize that chiropractic did choose us, each and every one of us. And the problem seems to be we may have not have choosed it back and we get goofed up. You know, years ago, they used to have Hulk Hogan, wrestler, and they had all these things on television. They had tag teams. And I like to think about it as saying, you know, chiropractic tagged you and me. But did you tag them back? Did you? Or are you trying to do something different? In my office, I adjust. That's all I do. I do an exam. I do an x-ray. I run the nervoscope and I adjust. Nothing else. And people ask me about it. Doesn't matter. That's what I do. That's all I'm going to do. And the specificity of the adjustment is all that's necessary. Being where I'm from, 150 miles from Mount Horeb, Wisconsin, when I was a student at Palmer, I went up and hung around Clarence Gonstead. Unbelievable. Unbelievable what he had going on. I remember this verbatim. He stands up in front of a class teaching his so-called Gonstead technique. And he said, there's too many chiropractors, not enough chiropractors. And he meant it. We get results. We follow rules. We are humble, we're obedient, and we are aware of the rules of innate. And we follow them. Where do we hear those words? Surprisingly, Sid Williams, DE. Where did Clarence Gonstead hang out? DE. Imagine that. We have that in common. B.J. Palmer used to say when kids would come, young men and women would come to chiropractic college, he would say that I don't care if they're here for 18 months or 4 years. 80% of the time I spend with them is to take all the bad thoughts out of their mind. 20% is to put good thoughts in, innate intelligence. Can you imagine that? That's what we do. That's what we do every day in our practices. We have to stay on. We have to stay on the principle, on the facts, on the reality of life and health. I'm going to read this because I think it makes sense. Our ability to stay on, each and every one of us, is a choice. It's ours. No one else's. It's personal. You have to work at it. Maybe every 30 seconds you have to remind yourself, stay on. Maybe every minute, stay on. You have to work within that process, decision making, until it becomes you. Within that, it automatically becomes you. That is the be part. Be what you say. Be what you're supposed to be. We, as a profession, have been reading, studying, learning of man, innate man, trusted life. We are right now thinking, talking, answering the hue and cry of man to understand all that life offers. And when we adjust the spine, it all comes true. As trusted things do. What else do you need to know? Who else does that? No one. Who else can deliver that? No one. Pretty well camouflaged, but no one. I understand this as being kind of interesting. If you accept mundane, you are invisible. Knock it off. Be different. Be chiropractic. Acceptance only makes you invisible. Be what you're supposed to be. Talk the talk. You know, every pencil has an eraser. Why is that? Some of your thoughts need to be erased. They're not right. Some of my thoughts need to be erased. They're not right. They're mundane. They're pointless. Now, I want to say a couple more things about chiropractic. You know, when I was younger, I had a Suzuki motorcycle. And my son has a Kawasaki out in the garage right now. In fact, he's got a couple of them. Anyway, that little Suzuki I had a toolkit underneath the seat. And, that was supposed to, you take that toolkit out and you fix the little Suzuki. Now, that's what it was for. The Kawasaki has a toolkit on it. My wife has a BMW car. If you open up the trunk, there's a toolkit underneath there. Are you kidding? Now, there's a guy in Davenport, Iowa that discovered this little thing right here. It's called the piezoform. You see that? That's the toolkit to fix a human being. That's the adjustment. You need to think about that. And you need to revere that. That's how it is. So, just like the BMWs, self-healing, self-contained, and self-regulating. Now, some of us, myself included, you can get distracted and you can worry and you can be anxious and you can have anguish and you can be just beside yourself at different times. Worry, anxiousness, anguish are all signs of indecision, of doing nothing. All can be fixed by making up your mind. There's nothing stronger than a made-up mind. Sid Williams. Here's another resolve of that same issue. This is innate, talking to each and every one of us. I don't want answers. I want dreams. Dreams are answers. Innate has them. Reciprocate by action. It is expected of you by innate. Don't disappoint. What did B.J. Palmer say? Innate talk to him. Page 86 of that book I showed you, The Glory of Going On. It talks about Henry Ford sitting in a chair and ideas just flowing through him. Same as B.J. Palmer. It's not specific. It's everywhere. You have to be receptive to it. Now, I want to say a couple more things here. We radiate through energy. Keep your energy up. Rest. Read. Walk into your office enthusiastic. Look that word up. Don't look it up on Google. That's a tainted definition. Look it up in an old Webster's dictionary. Look up what it really means. Enthusiastic. And be that way. We attract people and circumstances that blend with our dominant thoughts. If we wish to attract different people, different circumstances, and different events, we must change the content of our minds. We dramatically improve the quality of our lives by taking control of our minds and manufacturing beliefs and expectations consistent with what we want to happen to us in the future. Have a dream. It's going to show up. Then reciprocate by applying it. Let's see. There was one more thing I wanted to talk about. Well, actually, two. You know, we talk about this at DE, and it's everybody. Humble, obedient, and aware. Get a grip on that, would you? It's personal. Once you understand, it's not about you, never has been. It's about your acceptance of the way things are and the way innate works and the universe works. I wrote this down a couple years ago. I think it's good. The timing of your acceptance, your grasp, your usage of obedience, compliance, does not affect the gravity at all. It will take you. It will take you where it wants you to be in the practice it wants you to have, with the language and words it wants you to say. That's what you get out of DE. That's the warm, fuzzy feeling of truth. And the only place I ever got that was in DE. It's chiropractic, pure and simple, on a grand stage. In closing, I want to say this because it happens every day in my office, and it has for 48 years, and it is in yours. And it will continue, and will never get weak. It'll never take a day off. It'll never rest. It'll never be human. It's eternal. There's someone laying on the table in front of me. They have everything they need right there. What is my job? To release it. Think with me for a minute. There's a 6th dorsal vertebra. The listing is a PRS-T. I know exactly what that is because I labeled it based on examination and x-ray instrumentation. I know exactly what to do with that PRS-T. I put my piezoform in the right spot. I put my other hand as a support hand in the right spot, and I adjust. And I move the vertebra. At that moment, and only at that moment, the power of the universe is invoked. Who else does that? No one. Who else can do that? No one. What happens after that? Everything. That's chiropractic. We've heard words, we've heard things that stimulate us. I want to tell you this. Some of us, myself included, need to get emotionally disturbed with what we're not doing in practice. What I call errors of omission. It's not what you're doing, it's what you're not doing. Errors of omission. Get in on it. The last thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to conclude with this, I like this. I like this a lot. I got my hand on a vertebra. I'm moving the vertebra. The power of the universe is invoked. And I call it omnipotence. What that means in Latin is this: the almightiness of what we do. The almightiness of what we do. Isn't that wonderful? Wrap that around you. Live with it. Grow with it. It'll like you too. Thank you for your time tonight, folks.
Dr. Joe, thank you. That was an absolute lesson for everybody. I tell you what, I think we need to just put this on a loop and play it every Monday before we start. And any other day where you walk in just a little less than 100%, you just need to listen to this. I loved 80% of my job is to take the bad thoughts out, and 20% is to put good thoughts back in. And we just need to stay on. Thank you so much. That was amazing. And you're getting all kinds of wonderful comments. So just make sure you check those out too, because it's good to get that love.
Got it.
All right, everybody. It's a wonderful Tuesday night. I hope you're all doing well. Send all the messages to Dr. Joe. If you listen to this later, make sure you comment. That energy stays out there, and we need to radiate energy just like he taught us just now. So everybody have a great rest of the week, and we will see you very soon in Clearwater, Florida for DE. Have a great night, everybody.